Jim, we got to talk about these job numbers. I mean, this is a stark difference. This is the lowest in September 2017. Is this due to bad weather?
Well, my friend Larry Kudlow really kind of just said, listen, we got to throw this number away. Now, that's a little too glib. I think the number would have been bad if everything had gone right. But I rely on organizations that are paid to decipher these things. And fortunately enough, we had Rich Galanti from Costco deciphering it. And he point blank said, listen, the weather was bad. He never mentioned the weather. I mean, I followed him. Look, I don't know. I mean, he called me once because I bought tires at Sears. I said it on air. He had my cell phone number because you have to give them your cell phone number. He says, I need to know right now, why did you buy tires? I said, well, I was held up at Costco. It wasn't good. This is a granular man. And his granularity is that the weather really did wreck February. And he said it was across the whole country. And then he also said that China Lunar New Year was 500 basis points just for Costco. So I want to sticker the number. I don't want to asterisk it saying it was no good. I want to sticker it saying be careful of making too many judgments based on it. That's why I think, and I wrote a Real Money piece this morning, what's really going on with the market is not as much I think the tape is saying, let's sticker that number. What's going on is the global rout has periodically just entrenched our minds because a lot of the hedge funds are global, okay? So what they do is they say, all right, and they have a lot of resignation and towel throw. I mean, they're like, here's the hedge funds, right? Oh my God, please, here's the white flag. Oh my God, China's bad. Oh my God, Italy's bad. Oh my God, Germany's bad. Oh my God, Brexit. I can't take it anymore. And now we get a jobs number, so they just throw in the towel. They have the white flag. And what I'm saying that they should be doing is saying, okay, this is when you buy Procter. This is when you buy Clorox. This is when you revert to the tried and true names that do well in a slowdown, because we have that. And if you go over Costco, there was a remarkable thing in Costco. We're done with the inflation. He said freight has actually peaked as an issue. He said that food has peaked for inflation. Very positive. Remember, you're talking about a top 5 retailer in the country and now soon the world. So, revert to United Health. Just go buy it. It's been down every day. It's down like 50 points. We just bought some for action alerts. So I say I don't like to throw the towel. I say I like to think. I'm not a big think S&P guy. And by the way, when I say that they throw in the towel, look what they did with oil. Like they took oil down $2, and these are all interlinked markets. So am I being bullish? I am saying that the global rout thesis has historically been a reason to buy, not sell. But when it's happening, the hedge funds are so pervasive, you're overwhelmed. I'm asking our people to not be overwhelmed and go buy some Johnson & Johnson.
So you've given us some stock picks, but I'm wondering what else should investors be doing in this market?
Well, I like sitting on hands and I say that for a particular reason, not because I don't think it's right. I mean, we're raising some capital to be able to buy the things, but I don't want anyone to buy something and then Friday afternoon at 2:30 say, I can't believe it. Cramer said buy Merck at 79. It's at 77 because there was a global hedge fund that came in and sold the S&P. But you're seeing S&P selling. And so what you do, this is usually the global routes have lasted 3 days. I don't want to count the previous days. Let's do new think. Let's say it is day one. I would say it's day two. Let's say it's day one. On day one, everything goes down. On day two, the United Health's bottom and the Clorox is bottom. And day three, you start getting a little momentum. So the market acts like it's global rout, day one. The stocks are saying it's day two. Why do I use this whole notion of the day? It's what I do for a living. And it's funny, I was with the great Brian Westbrook last night and Michael Strahan for a fundraiser for PS11 in Brooklyn. I love to be able to contribute to the public schools because they don't have enough money. This is a fabulous public school in Brooklyn. And they were talking about how they got the job done. It's what they did. Someone asked me, how could Strahan do it for 15 years? It's because what I do. How was Westbrook so good? It's because what I do. And it emboldened me. I said, listen, here's what I do. I look at Home Depot at 180, and I think that's a domestic company that's going down because of the global rout, and I get to buy some. It's what I do. And I'd like to think that I'm in the NFL for this. And Brian Westbrook, number 36, was in the NFL. And, of course, Michael Strahan, dominate HOFer. So it's what I do. And what I do is say, okay, listen, they're all going to panic. I'm looking at McDonald's. Does well in a global rout, but it doesn't do well the first day.
All right, Jim, I'd be shocked if we end up in the green today.
Well, no,
and this has been
2:30. It's way too early. One of the things that I've noticed the patterns for my show in the morning versus the afternoon. Only if you have a trading glitch, like a China, where we had a big down opening. We have a very big down opening. And down 200 Dow's not down enough. So we have to keep our powder dry. Remember, a global rout thesis tends between 2:30 and 3:30 to produce selling because people don't want to get up on Monday and see bad headlines. it's just the way of the world. And I'm not saying I'm sanguine about it. I'm just saying it's what I do.
So what should investors be looking at next week?
Well, next week, we're totally going to be, I'd say, gripped by the idea that have we now discounted a lot of bad? How far have we rolled back? Micron is the only stock you really need to see, maybe FedEx, because they're going to be reporting soon and people are going to try to game those. Micron has to get back to 39. Advanced Micro's got to get back to 24. And they seem right now to be headed the other way. Those are the ones I'm keying on. FedEx, there's been no bottom. But the action is constructive for the first hour and a half, but it's not that hour and a half that we need. Catherine's the second. It's the last hour and a half that will matter. And I know that you could say, well, listen, I'm being wishy-washy. No, I'm just being empirical. It's what I do.
For investors who are worried about this market, and they've been worried for today's job report and this week's down days, what should they be? How should they position their portfolio going into next week?
Well, first, they have to be on our conference call because that's what I'm talking about.
Which is next Thursday.
Yes, next Thursday. I mean, look, what I would tell you is we're in a bearish phase. We just got oversold. Is the bear back? That's the crucial question. And I would tell you that the bear's not back. But the bull charged too hard and got exhausted and ran into a wall of global rout. And what that does is make everyone reassess and sell everything down. And then oil piles on, and oil is a sign of recession. We're not going into recession. We had a February number that was weaker, but we had bad weather. We had a government shutdown. We do have this now, I think, starting to stare us in the face, Brexit. And what my new theme that I'm developing right now, and I will talk about that on our conference call, 11:30 on Thursday, is the notion that the consumer's strong. Certainly got that from the major retailers, Walmart, Costco, Target. These are big retailers, right? The consumer's strong. Corporate spending, particularly on tech, is incredibly strong. But what's weak? The government. Everything that the governments are doing around the globe is bad right now. And, I listened to my friend Larry Kudlow talk about how we have tremendous woman participation, which I really like that he brought that up. But the fact that, especially in International Women's Day. But I think what really matters here is that governments have been against the stock market, whether it be Brexit, whether it be the weakness in Italy, which does matter, it's a big economy, whether it be the trade wars with China, whether it be Korea, the peninsula. There's a lot of bad things that governments are doing and a lot of good things that corporations and consumers are doing, which is why I harken back to say start thinking about domestic, CVS, Home Depot. We'll talk about that on our conference call on Thursday. Start thinking about healthcare again because that's what you buy in a slowdown. And I'm elevating Verizon to a stock that I'm going to ask about because Verizon is a stock that does well in a slowdown with a good yield. So I had 6 stocks yesterday on Real Money that I say you should follow. Let's add a 7th. Let's add Verizon.
All right, now I've got an investing education question for you. Are you ready?
Oh boy, last night at the PS11, all anybody want me to do is education for people who are just starting out, how to open an account, and we're doing that in the video, but I'm going to drill down. I'm doing my what's important every day. I think what's important for 2019. Sustainability, purpose, mental health. Of course, these are all mental health, family issue, and very, very strong on child, middle school, high school, college, financial literacy. And these are my missions. I'm putting together my mission list because my daughter, who is very purpose-driven, and she calls things purpose, what she's doing, like she's working on a summer camp that she's developing for kids that she thinks maybe could get a little more out of being mindful and purpose-driven and sustainable. And she's been saying to me, Dad, what is your mission? What's the mission of what you do? So what we're about to talk about is the mission, financial literacy, and that's why we're talking about it.
Agreed. All right, so if a C-suite takes action on their stock, should you take action on their stock?
So what about...
So if a C-suite of a company takes action on that stock...
I mean, does a buyback say, or dividend? Well, I think that one of the things that Warren Buffett talks about is the tailwind, the great tailwind. Now, he typically speaks of the tailwind of America. I think that buybacks and dividends are tailwinds. If you notice when we get these air pockets, the stocks that do horribly are ones that don't have buybacks and don't have dividends. But it challenges you to buy PepsiCo and Clorox because they've got the buybacks and they're right there. So, I mean, it's a little short term. I did a piece the other day in Real Money about how aggressive the retail buybacks have been. You can't, if you're a C-suite action does not produce immediate results. It produces, I would say, intermediate results. Doesn't happen that day, The buybacks tend to lag when they're announced, but a dividend boost of the magnitudes we've seen and the buyback increases of the magnitudes we've seen, including how much Costco bought this quarter, because they sensed that their stock was too weak, is very illuminating to what you should do. And unless a company's got hyper growth, 25% or more, I want them to be in there. I want them to be in there.
So if a CEO or a CFO buys their stock or
in the
sells
open
their
market?
stock,
Well, they sell for millions of different reasons. You get
But as an
estate
investor,
planning.
if I see that in
When
an
I
SEC
see buying,
filing,
bingo. Yes, CVS, which I've said is just the Gowanus Canal of stocks that we own, there was an insider buying of some magnitude, not enough. I know whether that is going to bottom by whether they buy more. And I am going to goad them into, if they say all these things about how great the merger was with Aetna, you know what, at this point, money talks, and I don't want to tell you what walks.
So yesterday, let's talk about the real money stock of the day, which is Costco. And yesterday you told me on this show that nobody cares about Costco.
Well, what was interesting is I felt that no matter what they said, it wouldn't impact the market. I didn't think Costco would be as great as it was. I mean, the Costco conference call was just 17 pages, but there was a lot of stuff that was just like miscommunication. So it's really only about 8 pages. It'll take you about 20 minutes to read. It took me about a half hour. I was taking a lot of notes. But the gist of it is, this may be the most halcyon time Costco's ever had. Membership up, sales up, global reach, open in Shanghai, company buying back aggressively, inflation stable, which has been a big issue for them. They raised wages, and it only hurt them for 3 to 4 basis points. That's very, very small. And so what I didn't judge, I incorrectly thought that that the prevailing ethos of yesterday, which was like Burlington was so bad, and that was it. It was earth-shaking that Burlington was as bad. Did not carry over. Each day is on its own bottom. The Costco quarter was really fantastic. It should have moved Walmart. It should have moved Target. It should have moved Kohl's. So in that sense, it is being ignored.
Today is International Women's Day, so I've got some questions for you regarding
of course,
that.
And I'm glad we're talking about this because, again, purpose-driven, mission-driven, sustainability. These are issues, and they have to be done. Another thing I want to introduce in conjunction with Women's Day is Passion Project. We have to have passion, okay? And when I saw the passion here this morning among women who were cheering, I am seeing what I regard as one of the most secularly positive trends, which, by the way, was mentioned in the Labor Department number. Women rejoining the workforce. So positive, so positive. Passion-driven.
Carrying on that positive note, JP Morgan had a study out on women, and they found that the amount of executives on boards rose to 22% from 20.4% in 2017.
That's great. I mean, you look at these companies. I remember holding Procter & Gamble to a standard that maybe wasn't fair, saying, listen, not that I was using the kind of generic I want to see more women on the Procter board because your consumers are largely women. And they added a woman, Amy Chang, to the board, who used to be a very important person in Google. She's 41 at the time. And he said, this is the woman to meet. So damn it, I did it. I went and met her. And now she's a friend of my wife's. She's coming to a party. And what I really feel strong, the reason I mention that is because people who run boards are now getting sensitive to the idea of putting women on the board. And all I can do is encourage more of that. If you're running a conference and you look and you see you don't have enough women on the board, that's because you're lazy. It's not because they aren't there. It's because you're lazy. It's because your contacts are all men.
That goes directly into the next question that I wanted to ask you, which is that you speak to a lot of people, a lot of corporations, high-level people, and I'm wondering, do you see this inequality and do you think it's changing?
I think they wanted to change, but they don't know how to do it. You have to do what Mark Benioff did. You get a spreadsheet out of all your employees. If you have all these vice presidents, and the men vice presidents are making, let's call it 100,000, and the women vice presidents are making 90,000, just draw a line, okay? Just draw a line and make it so that at the end of the day, everybody makes 100, men and women. That's what Benioff did. Benioff didn't say, let me study it. Benioff didn't say that's wrong. Benioff didn't say there's nothing we can do about it. What Benioff did was he went into his office and he changed it. Benioff is the man. That's what you should do.
All right, and TheStreet's Annie Gauss wrote a terrific piece this morning on the tech
She's
boards.
Very good.
And she wrote about how the tech boards don't have as much diversity.
No, they don't. And we used to own an outfit called Boardx, and I used to put that through all the time. Now it's owned by Euromoney, but the numbers are pretty dismal. It's time. People have to start getting cracking.
Well, so I'm wondering, what value does adding diversity to a board add to the company?
How about PE multiple? How about earnings per share long term? Purpose driven, okay? That's how you get, look at what Indra talks about, who used to be the CEO of PepsiCo. You want long-term performance, get the people on the board who are 50% of the world. And remember, you should be embarrassed if you haven't taken that action.
All right.
Men should pay attention to International Women's Day.
I just want to point out again that you have your Action Alerts Plus video on Thursday at 11:30.
We're going to talk about taming the bear, and using the bear to your advantage, and suggesting that it's not December, it's better than that.
All right, guys, and you can find that over on actionalertsplus.com. Thanks for joining us.